Welcome back, everybody, to Wise Word Wednesdays. I'm very excited for this. You see my daughter in my hands, but we're gonna get this video out. It's 2019. It's our first episode of 2019, and everybody's making their resolutions. So I thought it would be appropriate to talk about resolutions and just give you my perspective on it. Not mainly points, but just my perspective to hopefully shift your perspective. Number one, for sure, I need to say this, I don't believe in resolutions. I believe in making yourself better along the way. You got your whole life to change. You don't have to wait for the beginning of the year to start to make yourself better. You don't have to wait for 2020, 2019, January 1st, then I'll start being better. Be better today. Be better the time you feel you need to be better at that time. You don't need a year to define you. But I do believe that every year carries something. One major word, a pastor at Elevation Worship, he always says, what's your word for the year? Not your change, but what's your word for the year? So I pick a word. I don't pick my whole life, I'm gonna change that day. No, I pick a word. So on that note, I'm gonna give you guys my perspective. In the Bible, it says this specific thing, and when I read it, I was blown away. It said, be a student of life. It doesn't matter how old you are, you always have something to learn. It doesn't matter how young you are, you're always gonna learn something new. So if I can be a student of life and I can put it in my mind, I will always keep on learning, and I'm always looking for ways to learn. So if we continue to learn and be better in our lives, then we don't need a resolution. So I want to give you guys that perspective of, I have a reasoning, right? With my reason, I have a reason to exist, and that can be led to my purpose. If I continue bettering myself consistently by blocks, by like quarters, I can set myself goals. Step yourself into this year, not saying I'm gonna change the whole year. Step yourself into this year saying, I'm going to start day by day, step by step. If I say I wanna quit smoking this year, then I wanna quit today. It doesn't work that way. You need to go step by step. Really analyze yourself. These Wise Word Wednesdays is for you to really dig deep into who you are. If you see that you're smoking 10 times a day, cut it down to 5. So in the month of January, tell yourself every day, instead of smoking 10 times a day, I'm gonna smoke 5 times a day. It works that way, little by little. Why consistency and steps and taking away little by little and chipping at it? Why? Because it takes 6 months for somebody to create a new habit. If it takes 6 months for you to create a new habit, then don't have the perspective that if you failed in January, it never worked. It worked. It's just that you didn't keep up the consistency. Another thing, 2019, I always see this every single year in the beginning of the year. People tweet out, well, I failed 2019. Well, that sucks. I can't wait until 2020. Don't have that mentality. I see these tweets all the time. Don't be a quitter. Be consistent. If I didn't go to the gym this week, I'll go next week. If I couldn't do 4 times a week, I'll do 1 day a week. You have to be consistent. If you do just a little and move that slow, at least you're growing little by little. Instead of thinking January is my only opportunity to change. No, tomorrow is the next opportunity. This next hour is a new opportunity. You cannot stop just because you failed. And if we're gonna be students of life, not just people who walk around a student of life, that means I'm learning from my mistakes and I'm learning from the things I'm growing from. You're learning from every aspect of life. Then that means you can never, ever just put yourself to grow one time of the year. That January, you have to continually grow. So I encourage you, take your stuff step by step. This isn't something that I was gonna talk 10 minutes about. I wanted to get this out there because I believe that resolutions are good if they're gonna be consistent. Growing takes time. It takes time to grow, all right? It doesn't just happen overnight, all right? If you really want to grow, look at yourself. Look at the things you want to quit. Look at the things you want to add on to your life. Look at the person you expect to be and set yourself a goal. The mind is a powerful thing. I'll give you a simple example, a true life example. I've always wanted to preach on New Year's because our church never counts down. And that's something vulnerable that I'm saying to you. our church never counts down. And I always told myself, one day I'm going to preach at my church on New Year's Eve. I preach every Sunday, but I said one day I'm going to preach on New Year's Eve and I'm going to count down. It happened this year. Why? Because I stuck to it. If I would have quit and said, you know what, forget it, that's not for me, no, I kept on chipping away. Every year I would tell our pastor, can we count down this year? No. Okay. Can we count down this year? No. Okay. And I kept on being consistent, little by little, preaching at the church, being consistent, working on myself, working around working with the church, being more active at the church. And little by little, I started, me being more active at the church and taking small steps grew me to the position where the pastor said, this year you're preaching for New Year's. And I was able to count down with our church. It was a beautiful thing. And when I was reflecting this year, I said, hey, because I chipped away at it and I didn't stop and I was consistently growing in every aspect of being a pastor at the church, of being a leader at the church, of being a servant of God, serving people and learning how to organize together and work well with others and learning how to bring people together. If I didn't chip away at those things, the pastor would have never trusted me to preach on New Year's Eve. But because I worked on it consistently over time, it didn't happen 2016, it didn't happen 2017, but it happened 2018. You see, it takes time for us to grow to that. You need to be able to be ready for what you really want to be. So you got to perfect yourself little by little. So I encourage you guys, 2019, it'll be your year, but you have to be consistent. See yourself, instead of saying, did I do everything I want to do in January, see yourself as, did I do better than I did yesterday? And if I didn't do better than I did yesterday, let me do better today. Have that perspective. Have a good day, and like and subscribe and comment down below. Thank you so much. Happy New Year's to everybody, and I'll see you next week.